I suddenly saved Lin Mulan, the kidnapped heiress of one of the wealthiest families in the country. To repay me, her grandmother gave me two choices: marry her beloved granddaughter, Lin Mulan, or take 100 million yuan. Without hesitation, I chose the money and immediately booked the fastest flight abroad. Everyone was shocked, but they didn't know the truth. I had been reincarnated. In my previous life, I chose to marry Lin Mulan and devoted everything to her. I worked 5 jobs a day just to give her the life of a princess, believing she would eventually love me. But her heart had already belonged to Beijing's famous young master, Ji Baiyang. After our marriage, she treated me like a stranger. She hated whenever I touched her and would immediately wash her hands afterward. I endured years of humiliation for a woman who never loved me. Now that fate had given me another chance, I refused to repeat the same mistake. This time, I chose the 100 million yuan in freedom. Whenever I touched her, she would rush straight to the bathroom as if I disgusted her. Later, Lin Mulan became pregnant with another man's child. To protect her lover's reputation and stay with him, she personally pushed me off a cliff. As I lay there covered in blood, she looked down at me and mocked, "Gucci, you're nothing but a poor loser. Do you really think you are worthy of being my husband? He will always be my first choice." Those were the last words I heard before dying. But when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the exact day Grandma Lin offered me a reward for saving Mulan. This time, I didn't even look at her. "I just want some money and a plane ticket to America." Mulan's expression immediately changed. "Are you playing some kind of trick?" She snapped from the expensive leather sofa, dressed in a luxurious Chanel suit and sparkling diamond necklace. Everything about Mulan now seemed designed to remind me of the difference in our status. Old Mrs. Lin sat in the main chair, calmly holding a sandalwood mala as her sharp eyes examined me like I was some worthless object. "Mr. Gu, just tell us what you want," she said coldly. Before I could answer, a man in a white suit stepped out from behind Mulan. It was Ji Baiyang, a famous young master from one of Beijing's wealthiest families. He casually sat beside Mulan and took her hand. Instead of pulling away, she shyly leaned closer to him. Ji Baiyang looked at me with a poisonous smile. Mr. Gu saved Mulan, so naturally he expects compensation. I'm just curious how deep his hunger really is. He deliberately emphasized the word hunger, his eyes filled with fake pity and contempt. I remained calm, but memories of my previous death flooded back: the fall, the unbearable pain, and Mulan's final words mocking me for ever believing someone as poor as me could become her husband. Those cruel words were still ringing in my ears, but I quickly pulled myself back to reality. Ignoring Ji Baiyang completely, I looked straight at old Mrs. Lin and calmly said, "I want 10 million yuan. My voice was so flat that it sounded like I was talking about the weather. For a moment, the entire room fell silent. Then Lin Mulan suddenly burst out laughing. 10 million? Have you lost your mind? You work 4 jobs a day, wash dishes at hotels, carry heavy loads, and do marble work. How much can you possibly earn in a month? And now you dare ask the Lin family for 10 million? Her laughter disappeared, replaced by pure disgust. "I knew you didn't save me out of kindness. You're just greedy. You acted like a decent man because you wanted to squeeze a fortune out of us." Ji Baiyang quickly grabbed Mulan's wrist and gently stopped her. "Mulan, don't get angry. It's not good for your health." Then he turned toward me, pretending to look disappointed and hurt. Ji Baiyang sighed and said, "I thought you were an honest man, but I never expected you to be this greedy. 10 million may be nothing to the Lin family, but for someone like you, getting that much money overnight could ruin your life. Take 500,000 instead and start a small business. Wouldn't that be better?" Every word sounded like friendly advice, but I could clearly hear the mockery behind it. Looking at his hypocritical face, I wondered how I had ever lost to someone like him in my previous life. Ignoring him, I looked directly at old Mrs. Lin. "Is your granddaughter's life not even worth 10 million? Her fingers suddenly stopped moving over the sandalwood beads. The Lin family was the richest and most respected family in the city. If people discovered they had barely rewarded the man who saved their heiress, their reputation would suffer. After a moment of silence, she finally declared, "Fine. I'll give you 10 million. Mulan immediately panicked. "Grandma, how can you agree to such a ridiculous demand?" Mulan protested. "What would a broke man like him even do with that much money?" But Grandma Lin raised her hand and immediately silenced her. She stared at me coldly. "Gu, I'll give you 10 million yuan, but you must sign an agreement. From this moment on, you can never tell anyone that you saved Mulan, and you must never appear before her or the Lin family again for any reason. Can you do that?" I nodded without hesitation. In fact, that was exactly what I wanted. More than anyone, I hoped our paths would never cross again in this lifetime. Mulan froze, clearly shocked by how easily I agreed. She probably expected me to beg and desperately cling to her. Instead, she sneered, "Stop pretending, Gu. Do you really think money can hide your pathetic status? To me, you'll always be a worthless pauper." Ji Bayang quickly interrupted with a satisfied smile. "Mr. Gu, Mulan's words may sound harsh, but Ji Bayang smiled and continued, Mulan's words may be harsh, but they're true. Know your place, take the money, and return to your own world." Watching the two of them mock me together almost made me laugh. I ignored them and turned to Grandma Lin. She offered to prepare a check, but I immediately refused. "I want a bank transfer." A check could be cancelled, and I wasn't giving them any chance to go back on their word. Grandma Lin studied me for a moment before agreeing. "Fine. Come to the Lin Group office tomorrow afternoon with your ID and sign the agreement." I turned toward the door without hesitation. "Once I get the money, I'll disappear. I hope you two live happily together." The next afternoon, I arrived at the Lin Group on time. The agreement was extremely strict, but I didn't care. I signed it immediately. Seconds later, my phone buzzed. 10 million yuan had been deposited into my account. Seeing the balance, I finally felt a huge weight disappear from my chest. It was finally over. From this moment on, I was completely free. I left the Lin Group building, grabbed a taxi, and returned to my tiny basement room, a place filled with painful memories from my previous life. Every corner reminded me of the sacrifices I had made for Mulan. I had saved every penny to buy her nutritional supplements and even pawned my father's old watch just to afford medicine when she was sick. Then my eyes landed on a cheap glass sitting on the table. In my previous life, when Mulan returned to her family, this was the only thing she took with her. With tears in her eyes, she claimed it reminded her of all the hardships we had survived together. But later, I discovered the truth. She only kept it to show Ji Bayang how miserably she had lived with me and gain his sympathy. Eventually, Ji Bayang smashed that same glass right in front of me. Remembering everything, I picked it up, walked to the trash can, and threw it inside. This time, I was throwing away my past with it. The glass shattered into pieces inside the trash can. "Trash belongs in the trash," I muttered. Suddenly, the rusty door of my basement room was pushed open. Mulan stood there, covering her nose in disgust, while Ji Bayang followed behind, dramatically fanning himself with a clean white handkerchief. "So you really live in a filthy place like this?" Mulan mocked as her expensive heels clicked against the rough cement floor. Ji Bayang frowned arrogantly. "Mulan, I told you not to come here. Stay too long and you might catch some infection." I ignored their insults and continued packing my old clothes. "Miss Lin, why would someone as important as you come here? Our business is already over." Mulan stepped further inside, scanning the tiny room with disgust. But suddenly, her eyes landed on the broken glass inside the trash can. Her expression instantly changed. Mulan's expression instantly changed. "Gu, you broke that cup," she demanded, pointing toward the trash. I calmly stuffed the last of my clothes into my old canvas bag and zipped it shut. It was just a cheap cup taking up space, so I threw it away. Mulan looked furious and almost snapped back, but suddenly stopped when she remembered Ji Bayang was standing beside her. She couldn't let him see that the cup meant anything to her. Ji Bayang immediately noticed her strange reaction. With a mocking smile, he stepped forward and kicked one of the broken pieces. "Mr. Gu, Mulan is sentimental. Even worthless things can hold memories for her. How could you destroy it so heartlessly?" Then he pulled out a banknote and casually tossed it at my feet like he was giving money to a beggar. "Here. Take this. You can buy plenty of cheap garbage like that with it." I looked down at the money, then slowly raised my eyes toward him. The banknote landed directly on my canvas bag. "Consider it compensation from Mulan," Ji Bayang mocked. The banknote landed directly on my canvas bag. I stopped packing, slowly stood up, and stared at him coldly. "Young Master Ji, your money is filthy. It disgusts me." His face immediately turned red with anger. "Gu, don't push your luck. Do you really think having 10 million makes you equal to me? You're still nothing but a nobody." Mulan instantly stepped forward to defend him. "Gu, what's wrong with you? Bayang was kind enough to give you money, yet you insult him? Pick it up and apologize right now." Seeing her blindly defend him reminded me exactly of my previous life. I smiled bitterly, raised my foot, and crushed the banknote beneath my shoe. "Apologize? Is he even worthy of one?" I looked directly at Mulan. "Do you really think everyone is desperate for his money? Do you really think the whole world revolves around you? I was blind before, so I tolerated all your tantrums. But now, you're worth less to me than that broken glass in the trash." Mulan's eyes widened in disbelief. The man who once agreed with everything she said was now openly humiliating her. "How dare you speak to me like that?" Furious, she raised her hand to slap me, but I instantly grabbed her wrist, making her cry out in pain. "Miss Lin, get that arrogant face out of my sight." I shoved her hand away. "Take your little lapdog and get out of my home, or I'll call the police and report you both for trespassing." Ji Baiyang immediately rushed forward to support Mulan and glared at me furiously. "Gu, just wait. In Jingzhou, anyone who dares offend me has only one ending. I have 100 different ways to make your life miserable." I picked up my canvas bag, threw it over my shoulder, and looked Ji Baiyang straight in the eyes. "I'm always ready. I'm just afraid you don't have what it takes." Without another word, I walked out, leaving them behind. Mulan's furious voice followed me. "Gu, how did you become so rude and heartless?" But I didn't even turn around. After leaving the basement, I checked into a simple hotel near the airport. My flight was exactly 6 days away, so all I needed was a few peaceful days before leaving everything behind. Unfortunately, the Lin family had no intention of letting me go that easily. On the third evening, someone suddenly pounded on my door. 2 bodyguards in black suits stood outside, holding a cheap suit. "Mr. Gu, Madam Lin has ordered you to attend the Lin family banquet tonight. Your presence at the thank you dinner is mandatory." Their cold tone made it clear they weren't here to negotiate. I frowned. The agreement was already signed, and I had received the money. Why would they still need me? "I have no reason to attend any banquet." The bodyguard sneered. "Madam Lin said that if you refuse, she has plenty of ways to destroy the construction company you used to work for." "I heard those people treated you well." My expression instantly turned cold. Mrs. Lin was actually threatening innocent people just to control me. In my previous life, that contractor had helped me when I had nothing, even lending me a few hundred yuan during my hardest days. I couldn't drag him into this mess. "Fine, I'll go." I took the suit and put it on, only to realize it was 2 sizes too small and made from cheap, rough fabric. The Lin family clearly wanted to humiliate me and make Ji Baiyang look superior. At exactly 8 p.m., the bodyguards escorted me into Jingzhou's most luxurious hotel. The grand hall was packed with wealthy guests in elegant outfits. The moment I entered, everyone turned toward me. "Who is this guy? Why is he dressed so poorly? How did someone dressed like that even get inside?" one guest whispered. "I heard he's the guy who saved the Lin family's eldest daughter." Another laughed. "A poor frog dreaming of eating swan meat. He clearly doesn't know his place." Others quickly joined in, comparing me to Ji Baiyang and saying we belonged to completely different worlds. I heard every insult but showed no reaction. Instead, I quietly walked to a sofa in the corner, sat down, and picked up a glass of water. Suddenly, the crowd erupted with excitement. Mulan appeared holding Ji Baiyang's arm like a celebrity. She looked stunning in a blue gown, while Baiyang wore an expensive tuxedo decorated with a luxurious brooch. Together, they looked like the perfect couple. On stage, old Mrs. Lin smiled at the guests. "Thank you all for taking time from your busy schedules to attend my granddaughter Mulan's appreciation banquet. She was separated from our family for many years, and tonight is a very special occasion for us." Thanks to young Master Ji Baiyang's incredible help, Mulan was able to return home safely, old Mrs. Lin announced. "Baiyang is loyal and kind, and the Lin family will always be grateful to him." Sitting quietly in the corner, I almost laughed at her shameless lies. I was the one who had risked my life to save Mulan, yet Ji Baiyang was receiving all the credit while my name wasn't even mentioned. Just then, Baiyang walked toward me carrying 2 glasses of red wine, wearing his usual fake smile. He spoke loudly enough for the nearby guests to hear. "Mr. Gu, sitting here alone must be boring. Allow me to offer you a drink." He extended a glass toward me, but I didn't take it. "I don't drink." A flash of anger appeared in his eyes before he quickly hid it behind an innocent smile. "Mr. Gu, are you trying to embarrass me, or are you still upset about what happened in your room that day? Are you still angry about that day? I know you're jealous because Mulan chose me, but feelings can't be forced," Ji Baiyang said, deliberately raising his voice so everyone nearby could hear. I looked at him coldly. "Who do you think you are? Are you even worth being jealous of?" Suddenly, Baiyang stepped forward, stumbled dramatically, and spilled his red wine all over his expensive white shirt. "Ah!" he cried before falling backward onto the floor. The entire hall erupted in chaos. Mulan immediately pushed through the crowd and rushed to his side. "Baiyang, are you okay?" She helped him up and desperately wiped his shirt with tissues. With red eyes and a trembling voice, Baiyang whispered, "Mulan, I'm fine. Mr. Gu was probably just in a bad mood. I'm sure he didn't push me intentionally." His fake defense only made Mulan even angrier. She suddenly turned toward me, her eyes burning with rage. Mulan glared at me furiously and rushed forward, raising her hand to slap me. I simply tilted my head and easily dodged it. "Goo, you shameless pauper," she screamed, pointing at me. "Bai Yang kindly offered you a drink, yet you dared push him? Kneel down and apologize right now, or I won't let you leave tonight." The surrounding guests immediately joined in. What an arrogant nobody! How did the Lin family invite someone like him? Just kneel and apologize. Their insults filled the hall, but I remained completely calm. Looking coldly at the so-called elites around me, I said, "If I say I'm not apologizing, then I'm not apologizing." Mulan's face twisted with rage. "Goo, have you forgotten your status? Do you really think getting a little money suddenly makes you someone important in this society?" She stared at me as if I were something filthy, her finger trembling with anger as she pointed directly at my face. "Do you think having 10 million means you can do whatever you want? Crushing someone like you would be easier than killing an ant," Mulan threatened. Ji Baiyang leaned against her and continued his pathetic act. "Mulan, forget it. Mr. Gu probably feels inferior because of his poverty. I'll just change my clothes. Don't ruin everyone's evening because of me." The more innocent he acted, the angrier Mulan became. "No. Tonight, he'll kneel and beg for your forgiveness." Just then, old Mrs. Lin arrived with several bodyguards, tightly gripping her sandalwood beads. "Gu, the Lin family has shown you enough respect. Don't be ungrateful." Her voice was calm but threatening. "If you refuse to kneel and settle this matter tonight, I can have your 10 million frozen by the bank whenever I want." I stared at her coldly. So this was their plan all along. "And that's not all," old Mrs. Lin continued coldly. "I'll make sure you can't earn a living anywhere in Jingzhou, or even in this entire country." The moment she finished speaking, more than a dozen bodyguards in black surrounded me, trapping me in a corner. The guests quickly stepped back, eager to watch the show. Everyone expected a poor nobody like me to kneel before the Lin family and beg for mercy. Looking at Mulan's arrogant face, Baiyang's hateful eyes, and Grandma Lin's threatening expression, I suddenly burst out laughing. My laughter echoed strangely through the silent hall. "What are you laughing at? Have you gone crazy?" Mulan asked nervously. I slowly pulled out my phone. "I'm laughing at all you so-called intelligent elites. A third-rate actor managed to fool every single one of you." Then I opened an app on my phone. It was time to use the hacking skills I had learned in my previous life. So while sitting here, I accessed the hotel's camera system. "Mulan, open your eyes and see who the real scumbag is." I tapped my phone, and the giant LED screen suddenly flickered. The Lin family's presentation disappeared, replaced by security footage of what had just happened. Everyone watched as Baiyang approached me with the wine while I actually stepped backward, my hands still inside my pockets. I never touched him. Instead, Baiyang deliberately tripped himself, poured the wine over his own shirt, and dramatically fell backward. Every angle exposed his little performance, even the smug smile on his face right before he fell. The entire hall instantly went dead silent. Everyone stared at the screen in disbelief. The same guests who had been demanding that I kneel and apologize moments earlier now stood frozen, unable to say a single word. I slipped my phone back into my pocket, folded my arms, and smiled at Ji Baiyang, whose face had turned pale. "Young Master Ji, your acting was impressive, but it still needs some work." His innocent expression instantly disappeared. "How dare you plot against me," he shouted before pointing desperately at the screen. "That video is fake. He edited it himself." But the footage kept replaying, and every replay felt like another slap to his face. The guests immediately began whispering. "So he fell on purpose? What a pathetic performance. The heir of the Ji family actually tried to frame an ordinary man? How embarrassing." Their sympathy for Baiyang quickly turned into mockery and disgust. Some even questioned the Lin family for choosing someone so deceitful. Every comment struck Mulan like a needle. Her face grew increasingly pale as she stared at Baiyang, clearly struggling to accept what she had just seen. Mulan's face turned pale with embarrassment, but instead of apologizing, she immediately blamed me. "Gu, how can you be so cunning? You secretly recorded everything just to ruin Baiyang's reputation, didn't you?" Seeing how stubborn she was, I almost laughed. "Mulan, if you're not going to use your brain, donate it to someone who actually needs one." I grabbed a microphone from a nearby table, and my voice echoed throughout the hall. He provoked me, spilled wine on himself, and tried to frame me. All I did was show everyone the truth. So tell me, what exactly did I do wrong? I looked around at the wealthy guests. Is this your so-called high society? A place where lies become truth and the innocent are forced to apologize? Old Mrs. Lin trembled with rage and pointed at me. "This is rebellion. Guards, throw this disrespectful man out immediately." More than a dozen bodyguards instantly stepped forward and surrounded me again. The bodyguards moved toward me, but I stood there without the slightest fear.
There's no need to throw me out.
I'll leave myself. I looked coldly at old Mrs. Lin. I've already received my 10 million yuan. From today onward, I have nothing to do with Mulan or the Lin family. I don't want to spend another second in this disgusting circle. I slammed the microphone onto the table and walked toward the exit. Surprisingly, even the bodyguards stepped aside as I passed. Mulan stared at my back, and for some reason, an strange emptiness appeared in her heart, as if something that once belonged to her was slipping away forever. She unconsciously took a step forward but quickly stopped herself. Goo! Even if you kneel and beg me now, you still have to leave. I'll never look at you again, she shouted from behind. But I didn't stop, and I didn't even turn around. My steps never slowed. I pushed open the heavy doors and left that suffocating world behind. As the cold night air touched my face, I felt freer than ever. Meanwhile, Mulan furiously threw the papers from her desk onto the floor. Go find out where that pauper Gu disappeared to. A month had passed since that disastrous banquet, and during that time, Mulan slowly realized that her life was falling apart. Every morning when she woke up, the things she once took for granted were no longer beside her. There was no warm water prepared for her, no medicine ready when her stomach hurt, and no one reminding her to eat on time. All the small things Gu had quietly done for her had suddenly disappeared. At first, she told herself it didn't matter. But as the days passed, an uncomfortable emptiness began growing inside her. For the first time, Mulan started realizing just how much Gu had once done for her. Every morning, Mulan woke up without the warm porridge that used to soothe her stomach. Even with a wardrobe full of expensive clothes, she struggled to find matching jewelry because Gu had always handled those little things for her. Whenever her stomach hurt, she called Bayang, but his answer was always the same: drink some hot water. I'm in a meeting. In the past, Gu would travel across the entire city, even in heavy rain, just to bring her favorite warm porridge. Mulan rubbed her aching forehead, feeling strangely irritated. She refused to admit that she had grown accustomed to Gu taking care of her. Instead, she convinced herself that it was simply difficult to adjust after losing a useful servant. Even worse, Bayang's true nature was slowly beginning to show. Several times, she noticed the strong scent of cheap women's perfume on his coat. Whenever she questioned him, he became annoyed and accused her of being suspicious for no reason. Just then, her assistant rushed inside. Madam, we found him. The assistant nervously rushed in and handed Mulan a file. We found Gu. He moved to Haicheng and used the money to start a technology company. It's already doing extremely well. Mulan snatched the file and stared at my photograph. I was dressed in an expensive suit, looking calm, confident, and completely different from the poor, helpless man she remembered. A strange mixture of jealousy and loss filled her heart. How dare he live such a luxurious life using the Lin family's money, she snapped. Book me the earliest flight to Haicheng. I want to see what he's doing with my own eyes. The next afternoon, Mulan arrived outside my company wearing towering heels and carrying herself like an arrogant princess. Ignoring the receptionist's attempts to stop her, she marched straight into my office. I was sitting calmly behind my large desk, holding a document in my hand, when the door suddenly flew open. I was calmly reviewing a project report when Mulan stormed into my office. I didn't even flinch. Gu, how dare you secretly start a company behind my back? She slammed both hands onto my desk. I slowly closed the report and looked at her coldly. Miss Lin, entering someone's office without permission is trespassing. She glared at me. Enough with the act. Come back with me, and I'll forgive your previous behavior. I almost laughed. Forgive me? Mulan, is there something wrong with your brain? I leaned back in my chair and looked at her like she was crazy. Her face instantly turned red. She searched my eyes, hoping to find the love I once had for her, but there was nothing left except mockery and indifference. Stop pretending, she shouted, trying to hide her panic. You came here and built this company just to get my attention, didn't you? Do you really think wearing an expensive suit can hide where you came from? You'll always be a worthless nobody who survives on scraps from the Lin family. Mulan shouted. I calmly listened, a cold smile appearing on my face. In my previous life, she had destroyed me with that same arrogant attitude. I stood up and slowly walked toward her. My presence made her instinctively take a step back. Looking directly into her eyes, I said, Mulan, isn't Ji Bayang always your first choice? And someone poor like me is only worthy of being your backup? I repeated the exact words she had said before pushing me to my death in my previous life. Mulan instantly froze. Her eyes widened in fear, and her face turned pale. Those were thoughts she had buried deep inside her heart and had never revealed to anyone. How do you know that? She whispered, her lips trembling. I didn't give her even a second to recover. I didn't give her a chance to recover. Instead, I kept speaking, each word hitting harder than the last.
Do you really think you're some untouchable princess? You're nothing more than an ungrateful, selfish, and cold-hearted woman.
You took advantage of every sacrifice I made for you, then turned around and mocked my worth. You admire Ji Baiyang's power, yet you refuse to see the rotten person he truly is. As for you, I paused and looked her straight in the eyes. In my eyes now, you're worth less than a stray dog on the street.
Mulan's confidence completely collapsed.
She covered her ears and desperately shook her head. No, stop talking, she cried, unable to accept that the man who had once loved her unconditionally now looked at her with nothing but disappointment and contempt. For the first time, she realized she had already lost him forever.
No, that's not true. You're lying, Mulan shouted desperately.
I had no interest in watching her lose control any longer.
I calmly pressed the intercom. Security, come to my office and escort this woman out. Within seconds, 2 large security guards entered and grabbed Mulan by both arms. Let me go. Do you know who I am?
I'm the eldest daughter of the Lin family, she screamed, struggling to break free. Her makeup was ruined by tears, anger, and panic, but no one paid any attention. I quietly returned to my chair, reopened my project file, and spoke without even looking at her. Throw her out. I don't allow people who create trouble to stay in my company. As the guards dragged her toward the door, Mulan kept staring back at me, hoping I would stop them.
But I never lifted my head again.
To me, she was nothing more than a stranger.
How dare you call me trash? Gu, you'll regret this.
Mulan screamed as the guards dragged her out.
She returned to Jingzhou in humiliation, only to be met with devastating news. Ji Baiyang had been arrested.
Investigators discovered that he had secretly maintained relationships with multiple women and was also suspected of embezzling millions from one of the Lin family's major projects. He was captured during a raid on an illegal gambling club while partying with his associates.
The scandal spread across Jingzhou overnight. The Lin family was dragged into the controversy as well. Only then did Mulan finally realize that the man she had trusted above everyone else was nothing but a fraud.
Meanwhile, the man she had insulted, humiliated, and thrown away had already built a successful life far beyond her reach. For the first time, regret became impossible for her to ignore. The scandal shook Jingzhou's entire business world. The Lin Group's stock price crashed, wiping out billions in market value within minutes. Unable to handle the pressure, old Mrs. Lin suffered a stroke and was rushed to the ICU.
Panicked, Mulan went straight to the prison to confront Ji Baiyang.
Behind the bars, the gentle and elegant man she once admired was gone. His face was twisted with hatred, and his eyes looked like those of a venomous snake. "Why are you here?" he sneered.
To laugh at me? Mulan burst into tears and pounded on the glass. Baiyang, why did you do this? Why did you lie to me? Why did you destroy the Lin family?
Baiyang suddenly burst into uncontrollable laughter. When he finally stopped, he looked at her with pure contempt.
Lie?
No, you were simply stupid.
Did you really think I would ever love a woman like you? If it weren't for the Lin family's wealth, I wouldn't have wasted a second on you. Every word struck Mulan like a knife, shattering the fantasy she had spent years believing.
Every word pierced Mulan's heart. She collapsed onto the floor, feeling as if her entire world had fallen apart. Only now did she finally see Ji Baiyang's true face. In the depths of despair, she couldn't stop thinking about me. She remembered the man who worked several jobs just to buy her a small cake, and the man who stayed awake all night by her bedside whenever she was sick, never leaving her alone for even a moment. Regret slowly consumed her like poison. Months later, on a cold autumn evening in Beijing, heavy rain poured from the sky. I had just finished an important business meeting and was heading back to my hotel in my Maybach. As we drove out of the underground parking garage, the driver suddenly slammed on the brakes.
"Mr. Gu, there's a woman kneeling in the middle of the road." I lowered the window and looked outside. Soaked by the rain, Mulan was kneeling silently in front of my car.
She was kneeling in the rain like a drenched stray, her once beautiful hair stuck to her face and her expensive clothes covered in mud. The moment I lowered the window, she stumbled toward the car and clung tightly to the door.
"Gu, I was wrong. I finally understand everything. Please, give me one more chance."
I stepped out with a black umbrella and looked down at her.
"Another chance? So you can push me off a cliff again?"
My words froze her in place. Rain dripped from the umbrella onto her trembling face as she stared at me in horror. She knew nothing about my reincarnation, yet somehow it felt as though I had seen through every dark secret hidden inside her heart.
What are you talking about?
I don't understand," she stammered, shivering from fear and the cold. I looked at her without the slightest trace of pity. The woman I had once loved with all my heart was now nothing more than a stranger standing in the rain, begging for a future she had already thrown away herself. There was no sympathy left in my heart, only the satisfaction of justice.
If you don't understand, that's fine, I said coldly. Just remember this, in my eyes, you're not even worth a puddle of mud. Mulan completely broke down.
Crying uncontrollably, she threw herself forward and wrapped her arms around my legs, covering my tailored suit with mud.
Gu, I truly regret everything.
Ji Baiyan lied to me. He ruined the Lin family.
Grandma is still in the hospital, and our family is on the verge of bankruptcy. I have no one left except you.
She looked up through the pouring rain, her tears mixing with the water.
I'm pregnant, it's Ji Baiyan's child, but I'll end the pregnancy tomorrow if you'll take me back. I'll do anything you ask. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for everything.
Listening to her shameless plea filled me with disgust. Even now, she was trying to bargain with my feelings instead of taking responsibility for the pain she had caused. Her words disgusted me. In my previous life, she had used the excuse of a child to lure me to the edge of a cliff, only to push me to my death with her own hands. I narrowed my eyes, lifted my foot, and kicked her away without the slightest hesitation.
Mulan cried out as she fell into a muddy puddle, filthy water splashing all over her. Looking down at her, I spoke in an icy voice. Mulan, you're not even worthy of my hatred anymore.
Watching you beg only fills me with disgust.
Don't stain my eyes any longer. Get out of my sight.
Without another glance, I turned around, got back into my car, and calmly told the driver, drive.
As the car pulled away, I never looked back. A few moments later, my phone rang.
It was my assistant.
Mr. Gu, the information has been confirmed.
The Lin family is collapsing from every direction. No bank in the country is willing to lend them money anymore, and even their attempts to seek help overseas have failed. They're trying to borrow money from an underground finance company, my assistant continued. Through a middleman, they're planning to mortgage their old family estate for one final loan.
I asked calmly, what's the property actually worth? At least 500 million yuan on the open market, he replied.
But the Lin family is desperate, and Black Gold Capital is notorious for exploiting people. At best, they'll offer only 200 million yuan, with crushing interest rates.
I let out a cold laugh. 200 million? They're not even worth that much. After a brief silence, I gave my next order. Listen carefully. Use every contact we have.
I want to know exactly which representative the Lin family is meeting, and I want the time and location of that meeting.
The sooner, the better.
Understood, Mr. Gu, my assistant replied.
I'll have the information on your desk as soon as possible.